Now 7 o'clock. We are now starting the Planning Commission meeting. Today is June 13th, is it? Okay. And let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that's awesome. Now we'll have roll call.
Chair Kevin Rooney.
Here.
Vice Chair Mario Maciel.
Here.
Commissioner Erwin Borcas.
Here.
Commissioner Edith Flores.
Present.
And Commissioner Christopher Sines.
Present.
All right. Comes down to public communications. You have 3 minutes speaking time limit. And please state your name and your address.
Good evening. Greg Tuttle, business owner. I want to talk because we're going to have the public hearing meeting, but I want to talk about our community development director. He's brought in people from Adelanto. I have proof that he has a company called Romo Planning Group that he works out of Adelanto. He's made close to $1.5 million in revenue out of there. He's well connected with the mayor that got indicted. I don't know if you guys read the paper or listen to the news, but there's been a big marijuana bust out there, plus illegal activity going on of payoffs. Now, I'm very concerned that this whole operation, including the city attorney's office, or not city attorney, I'm sorry, the city's attorney, that both of them have illegally and have neglected to do the duty that they should have done of doing the proper way. We lost Amy because Amy wanted it done the right way. We didn't lose Amy because she wasn't a good employee for 27 years. We lost her because the city decided, because they needed money for their campaigns to run in Monica and the others for the primary. And we lost her because these people did not do the process. You people haven't been up here for a long time. The due process is you do the conditional use permit first. You see if this business is legit, where it goes and everything else. It was done completely ass backwards. It was completely, you guys were out of the picture. And the only time you were in the picture was because the city got sued. It's not right. Now, what I'm going to tell you, too, these votes that you're doing and getting pressured and the phone calls that are happening, why the meeting and the texts and everything else, you will be held personally liable, too, when the suits all come down. And they will come down. I just won $135,000 from this city for their sign ordinance that they punished me. And I'm not afraid to use that money to go back again. This stuff has got to stop. The city attorney screwed up all the development agreements, cost all these weed growers astronomical monies for nothing. Now we got 2 people that are going to run for public office here this year. So they all got to be good and vote for the right thing that the mayor and Monica say. But I'm going to tell you right now, you all are going to be held personally liable, even though you think you won't, but you will be, and you'll have to answer for these votes that you're going to be doing today. And you have to understand that you've been lied to by your community development guy over here that's leaving next week. He's gone. And the Adelanto, I have all the facts. I have a letter from an Adelanto employee that says...
Sir, your time is now up.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don Rios, President. You guys are just a bunch of puppets, okay? guys think just because, oh, Lozano got me in. One of the things, like Mr. Tuttle said, you guys are liable. Something happens that a lawsuit comes down, okay? Not only would you guys will be, because your commissioners voted thing. The thing with Amy, it doesn't look very good in the city. Everybody's asking, why did they let her go? Tying things off. You guys, it's your conscience, okay? I'm just telling you the facts, okay? Got a federal judge that I talked to this morning. He's telling me, the commissioners are responsible for their actions. Okay? Think about it. Okay? Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing as there's no more, I now close public communications. We have the consent calendar next, is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Motion to approve consent calendar, line 1.
Just a point of clarification, sir. The consent calendar, they have to be both pulled because of a couple of commissioners need to recuse themselves from voting on each one. For instance, action minutes from April 18th, Commissioner Maciel needs to excuse himself, so we need to pull them both out. And for the second item, Commissioners Borges and Chair Rooney would excuse themselves.
What he's saying is that you will abstain if you weren't here for that meeting. So the first meeting is
April 18 minutes.
April 18 minutes. The commissioners that were not here will vote to abstain. So you need a motion.
A motion to approve action minutes from the April 18th meeting.
I move to approve. A second.
I will abstain.
All right, and I'm sustaining, or?
Now we do the
there?
second one.
Oh,
There
okay.
in that meeting?
No. The one we're going to do right now, number 2, you and I have to abstain.
Oh,
We
okay.
weren't here.
All right.
Okay, but the April 18th meeting, just you. Okay, so take a roll call.
Okay, let's have a roll call.
Chair Kevin Rooney.
Here.
Yes,
Vice Chair Mario Maciel.
abstain.
Abstain.
Commissioner Edwin Borcas.
Yes.
Commissioner Edith Flores.
Yes.
Commissioner Christopher Sines.
Yes.
So make a motion for that.
Is there a motion?
A motion to approve action minutes from May 23rd.
I'll second it.
Abstain.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Chair Kevin Rooney.
Abstain.
Vice Chair Mario Maciel.
Yes.
Commissioner Edwin Borcas.
Abstain.
Commissioner Edith Flores.
Yes.
Commissioner Christopher Sines.
Yes.
Oh, next, a request for consideration. Okay. Officers report, is that it?
Staff report.
Oh, staff report, okay.
Yes, the staff report will be coming from our planner, Erica Ramirez.
Honorable Chair.
I think you.
There it goes.
Grab the
Is that
mic.
on now? Good evening, Honorable Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Erica Ramirez, and I'll be presenting tonight on item 3. At the City of Baldwin Park regular City Council meeting on May 16, 2018, Council gave direction to staff to move forward with the development agreement process of 5 cannabis applications, in addition to the revised development agreement for the applicant Rulke. As of May 16, 2018, one of the 5, Virginia Avenue Holding, informed staff that they would like to hold off on consideration until a time that the city decides to issue Tier 1 permits. They were therefore removed from the list of applicants that are before you tonight. On June 1, 2018, Electric Adam informed staff that they would like to change their location for 15012 Arrow Highway. Radius maps and labels were received on June 4th for the new address after the noticing deadline. Therefore, the mailing notices for the address of 15012 Arrow Highway were sent out to those property owners within the 300-foot radius, and the notice was also posted on the site. However, because the location is no longer valid, Electric Adam is not included in your consideration for tonight as well. They understand they will be considered at a later time. Therefore, the development agreements before you tonight are DA 18-03, DA 18-18, DA 18-19, and DA 18-20. The request before you tonight is a request for consideration of a recommendation of approval to the City Council on 4 development agreements, 3 for the cultivation and manufacturing of cannabis, location 14712 Arrow Highway, 4276 Alton Street, 14726 Arrow Highway, and 1 for the distribution of cannabis, location 4150 Puente Avenue. The applicant, Rulke, is proposing to establish a cannabis distribution business in the IC zone at 4150 Puente Avenue. Please note that a correction memo was distributed in regards to the table of information that was part of the original Planning Commission packet. The outdated information pertaining to the term of the agreement was inadvertently left in. In addition, the revised DA agreement is before you as well, to include the corrected term of agreement.
Excuse me. What was included in the chart said that the contract was good in perpetuity. That was an older version that was included by mistake. The actual term is 20 years. Thank you, Erica.
Correct. And the corrected information is before you on the slide today. The applicant, The Grown Folks, is proposing to establish a cannabis cultivation business in the IC zone at 14712 Arrow Highway. You can see the vicinity map before you, and this also includes the information table that was in your packet. The term of the agreement is a 15-year term, and it has a set payment schedule for years 1 through 5. DA 18-19 for W&F International Corp. is proposed at 4276 Alton Street. This is also for marijuana cultivation and manufacturing, and it's in the IC zone as well. The term of the agreement is a 15-year term, and it also has a payment schedule for years 1 through 5. The payment schedule here, you'll note, is slightly different than the previous applicant. The last DA for your consideration today is 18-20, Tier 1 Consulting. The proposed location is 14726 Arrow Highway. The proposal is for cannabis cultivation and manufacturing. Again, it is in the IC zone. The term of agreement is also 15 years, and it has the same payment schedule as the Grown Folks. In addition, it is in the same commercial center as the Grown Folks. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution PC 18-13, entitled, "A Resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Baldwin Park recommending that the City Council approve each of the 3 development agreements for cultivation and manufacturing of adult and/or medicinal cannabis, locations 14712 Arrow Highway, 4276 Elton Street, 14726 Arrow Highway, and one for the distribution of cannabis, location 4150 Puente Avenue. Case numbers DA 18-03 and DA 18-18 through 18-20. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone wishing to speak on this issue? You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address.
Good evening. My name's Julie Johnson. Hey.
You're just not.
Hello.
That's it. Yeah.
My name is Julie Johnson, and I'm at 5140 Elton Street. And I was notified a few days ago about this hearing, and I have questions, but I'm thinking I don't get to ask questions. I just get to make a statement. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Our city is already a high crime. We've been in this city since 1972. It's a very high crime city, and now we're going to add businesses that are going to continue to bring crime to our city. I think that's ridiculous. I hope you have a plan in place with additional police and security for your citizens, especially bringing in all cash businesses. The other thing is there's a school behind this, the two locations. I thought there was only one. I'm now hearing there's two close to our business. There's a school right behind there, an elementary school. And you're going to have these kind of businesses close to children in schools. I'm pretty sure there's some rules against that. So I would like to recommend that you guys rethink this. And if I have anything to say, I would not like to have these kind of businesses in our community. Thank you.
Greg Tuttle again. Okay, well, first of all, I think there's a big confusion and everybody seems to be told a lie because it's the city attorney, like they made the urgency ordinance of the 50 feet for houses. The state law requires 600 feet, okay? It's a given, okay? It's not an option, it's a given at houses in sensitive areas. This city, as I stated before, never did its homework, never went out and did the research of where these people were going to be put. They wanted the money. They wanted this money. Now, these people that are up here, has anybody verified that all their money's in, the police money, the funds that should be in? And July 1st of this year, they got to come up with 2 payments according to their development agreement that they signed, which they did backwards. We need to understand that this council that you're working for and your buddies have all illegally done this weed deal completely backwards. We have some good legitimate companies that want to come in here and work with the city, but they hate the way the payoffs and all the bribes and all the stuff that are going on. And part of it's due to him. Now, what we need to understand is that these businesses that are coming in should be verified. We should have code enforcement out there verifying the footage. We should go and get the state laws and abide by the state law, because all this stuff you're doing now is a waste of time. Because when the state finds out, which will be from me, I have all the pictures that I gave you people and I gave the council, I'm going to turn them all in. And guess what? 13 out of those 15 ain't going to get it. So that means they're going to come back in here if they want to stay in this city. If they're smart, they're going to sue the city and get their money back, is what they should do, because they've wasted their money. This should have been the first option when you come in to own a business, is to come in and do the conditional use permit. But because of the city attorney and the greed of some of these council people, you went backwards, and now you guys are dealing with this. And this deal, I've talked to some of the owners at Rookley, and I think they're willing to really work with the city, and I think they want to do stuff, in my belief, to be compliant with everybody. They're a distributor. They're not a grower, which is a better thing as far as I'm concerned. I don't want growers next to me, and I have a business. And all these businesses that are trying to grow, a lot of them have houses right next door, which is illegal. But the city went ahead and gave them a development agreement. Why? Because they wanted the development money. They wanted the agreement money. This is the wrong way to do stuff. You guys have a chance here to help your city
Mr.
and
Toby,
make
your
it
time
right.
is now
Because
up.
the way it's going right now, it's bad. And you guys are going to be caught in between
Toby, your
all
time
this
is now
crime
up.
and corruption when it gets all done. And you're going to be headlines in the newspaper. I don't think you want that. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Public hearings now closed.
Council questions? Commission questions?
Any commissioners have questions?
I have a question, actually. I'm curious to know, why is it that we have to vote on one particular agenda item for all 4 applicants? Why couldn't it be done per applicant? Because I have nothing against cannabis cultivation, but what I do have against some of these addresses is that they're definitely too close to the vicinities of schools and teen centers, and that really hits home for me.
The city had, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that you can, in your recommendation, separate them out so that the resolution would read, for example, we recommend approval of X, but we recommend disapproval of Y.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I do. I have a question. Of the original applicants, have any of them started the process with the state? Has anybody been successful as of yet?
Yes, sir. The 15 that received their cannabis permits from the city, they've gone ahead and applied for the state, and the state will send out an email to staff indicating if they are good to go with a temporary license. So they give them a license that's good for 6 months. And during that time, they understand that the applicants still have to do their due diligence with us in terms of their tenant improvement plan checks and also continue with the state during their process. But yes.
Have you received any temporary licenses or not yet?
Yes, there have been, I would say, at least of the 15, at least 10 of them that the state has issued.
Okay.
I have a quick question. And of the 2 that she mentioned that are going to be kind of talked about at a later date, they're going to resubmit are they under the same kind of plans of the ones that we're talking about today? She mentioned 2 that are.
Oh, yes. There is one, Electric Atom. They changed locations. So they initially had submitted their radius map and labels for the older location. When they changed locations, they submitted their map and labels after the noticing period had already happened. So they understood that they couldn't go to tonight's meeting. So they're going to be part of a next phase of permits that come through. And the 5th one that the council had selected, they want to wait to see if the council will consider Tier 1 permits. They do not want a Tier 3. So that's why they decided not to go forward at this time.
Tier 3 is 22,000 square feet, and Tier 1, that is what, 5,000?
Correct, sir.
Any more questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, I have one more question in regards to Rukli. I know that in previous meetings we approved, I believe, 2 development agreements for 2 different locations, and today we're only seeing 1. Did they decide to drop 1, or why is it that we're?
The applicant did change locations. They changed to 4150 Puente, and that's what's being considered tonight.
All right. Any more questions?
No, I just wanted to make one more fact. If I'm not mistaken, right across the street from 4150 is actually a house residential area, if I'm not mistaken. And right next door, I think it's already been approved on the April meeting that cultivation will be going on there, as well as there's a restaurant to the right of that one. I'm concerned that the footage between that residential home and Rookley's address are in conflict, if I'm not mistaken.
The ordinance reads from a residential zone, and there are at times residences located within non-conforming industrial zones. So you could have a situation where you have an industrial zone where there's a home within it, and that is not counted within the ordinance. The ordinance distance criteria is only from a residential zone, not a residential structure.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions from the commissioners?
And now, is the 4150, isn't that just the address of the distributor? There's not going to be any cultivation there?
That's correct, sir. Yeah, that one is strictly distribution.
And that being said, does that mean that all cultivation will be coming to them, or they go out to the different cultivation sites to pick up the merchandise?
The applicant is here. I think he could better explain that operation, sir. His name is Sean. If that's okay with you, we could.
Oh yeah,
bring
most
him.
definitely.
Sir, if you could, there's a question for you with regards to the operation of the distribution.
Hi, how are you? Sean Brashowski, President, Rookley. What was
Just
the question? I'm sorry.
out of curiosity, I wanted to find out if the operation involves you going to the sites where the cultivation is done, or they come to you.
We go to them.
Okay. All right.
So does this site serve as just like a home office, or is it a warehouse?
No, it's a warehouse.
My question is, once you pick up the loads from the growers, do you bring it back to your main warehouse?
Absolutely. It has to come back to our warehouse. It must be tested. It must be approved. And once it's approved, then it's ready to go out to the retail, which we have to take it to.
And what's the window of time for each one to be there?
What do you mean by window
For
of
each
time?
load, like you get a load from the place and bring it there to be tested. Is it a couple hours, couple days?
No, it depends. Many laboratories right now have different turnaround times. So it definitely depends on how the laboratory is turned around. Typically, it's around 72 hours. Okay. But it doesn't definitely need to get to the retail shops after that because they have to have the product sold as well.
Okay, thank you.
And as far as the retail shops that you deliver to, what's the radius? Is it pretty flexible? Is it LA County?
All of California.
All of California. Gotcha.
Just not Baldwin Park.
It's going out of Baldwin Park.
Now the security measures that we have in place, from what I'm reading, you will have guards outside and inside the building?
Absolutely.
Yes?
Yes. Could I address the community?
Yes, are they armed guards?
They can be.
Will they be?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sir, before you leave the podium, can you state your full name again for us?
Sean Brashowski, Rookley.
How are you? R-U-K-L-I?
R-U-K-L-I.
Thank you.
Just one last question for me. Your workers are going to be 30% of them are going to be from our community, right?
Yes,
from
sir.
Baldwin Park?
40%.
30%.
30?
Yeah, I believe
correct.
I read 30.
I read 40.
Your printout actually said 20%. It's actually 30%.
Okay. I read 40, but it's okay.
Okay. Any more questions?
Can I read this into the record?
Sure.
We received a communication from the Bureau staff of the Bureau of Cannabis Control, State of California. They say, thank you for contacting the Bureau of Cannabis Control. The Medicinal and Adult Use Cannabis Regulation and Safety Act does not impose a specific requirement for the distance a commercial cannabis business has to be from residential areas. However, local jurisdictions may have local ordinances or zoning rules that may impose such restrictions. Ours does, Section 127 has a 50-foot distance from residential zones. But just for your information from the state, there is no state requirement.
So council, if I may, so the 600 feet applies only to?
That's for sensitive uses. That's 600 feet from schools and parks. The 50 feet is from residential zones.
Any more questions? Any more questions from the commissioners?
My last question would be, as soon as operations start running, how soon enough can we be assured that we will have additional police on duty? Because from what I'm read on most of these agreements, most of these applicants will be providing $50,000 that will go towards a police officer, which means to me that's, I guess, a salary for a police officer from each applicant.
As the mitigation fees come in for the police department, sir, the police department will then budget for the next fiscal year or possibly even for the next mid-year fiscal year or fiscal year budget. So it's really up to how much mitigation fees we get as we start collecting them. So right now I can't tell you when those police officers would actually be coming in. It would completely be up to the police department and how they budget that money for it.
Okay.
But the 50,000 is earmarked for, specifically for police.
All right. Is that the last of the questions, or anyone got another question? Mr. Bojorquez?
Chair Rooney, the one thing I find interesting is that, I don't see anyone from the police department or association that's been in here, complaining or against this request. So I find that pretty interesting that they're for it, because there's nobody that we've seen or heard that's against this for the city. And I like the fact that we're going to be hiring police officers and there's going to be armed guards and all that stuff.
That is a major plus, that we will be getting funding for police officers. My main concern is having Rookley so close to the school is my main concern. It's real close. I mean, it's literally down the block.
Is it a 600-foot?
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
Staff has measured.
That is the state law. Whatever you read was not right. Come on, I'll bring it to you tomorrow.
Okay. So, no other questions? Okay, we're gonna vote on it, right?
Take a motion.
Is there a motion?
I motion to approve the request for consideration.
Is there a second? No second?
I'll second the approval of the development agreements.
All right. Those in favor?
Roll call?
Oh, you want to do roll call?
Roll call's fine.
Chair Kevin Rooney,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mario Maciel,
yes.
Commissioner Edwin Borcas,
Yes.
Commissioner Edith Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Christopher Sines.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes 5-0. I believe we are now we're adjourned, right?
Well, what's next on the agenda?
I don't believe we have consent calendars. Sorry, I've been out for a little bit. I've been sick.
I do have a question for staff, and I don't know, Mr. Rama, if you're able to answer this. But now that, so I feel that most of the businesses, their success is contingent on the startup of Rukli. So how fast, considering that the City Council approves the development agreement, how fast can we get Rukli up and going? Because it's necessary for the success of the other businesses.
Well, I believe that Rukli is not required to come in with tenant improvement plans because of the use. So, if Mr. Sean Pakatsky is here. Oh, he just stepped out. Yeah, they've paid their mitigation fees. It looks like as long as the state is granting them the license, they should be ready to go within months. But I would leave that up to the applicant to tell us. Of course, I understand where the city is coming from, where they want these operators to start generating their business so that they can start generating revenue. But we cannot tell you when they're going to be coming in for their tenant improvement plans and so forth. I can tell you that out of the 15 that were approved, so far 4 have submitted for plan check. The others are still preparing those items. But again, Rukli is not required to because it's a storage facility and distribution.
And a last question. So I know that it was mentioned a bit earlier that some of these applicants are expected to make their first payments in the coming months. Is that something that is accurate? Like they haven't started business, but we're going to start collecting their...
Yes, their development agreements have timelines on it. Besides the initial $15,000 fee that came in, there was a $50,000 mitigation fee for police department, and then their annual, which is a total of $220,000 a year, is due at the end of June 30th. It's $110,000, and then at the end of the year, the remaining is due as well.
So that's regardless whether they're up and running or not.
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
With our approval now of these agreements, will it be noted in the agreements that there will be armed guards at Rukli?
We can certainly make that a part of the record.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Seeing no further questions, motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
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 We're adjourned. We need to give Chris a shot up here. We need to give you and Chris a shot up here at the main.